I remember when I became a mother, and while in hospital, I had a lot of support from the nurses, the doctors. So any questions I had, there was somebody to answer. And then it was time to go home. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? How am I going to know what to do? When to feed this child? Am I going to make a good parent, a good mom? Will I make the right decisions? Now, especially for someone like me who had my child outside of Kenya, which is my birth home, and I was in the United States, I was in an environment that was very unfamiliar, and nobody gives us the manual for raising African children in countries that do not think like us, discipline like us, where values are different, and some of us end up parenting from a place of just survival because you have the conflict of trying to settle into this new culture you're in vis-a-vis being a parent in that country and understanding the policies and laws and those things that govern you as a parent. Welcome to the Motivate to Elevate podcast. I am your host, Coach Corey, and today we are going to be speaking about parenting. I have received some consistent requests. Coach Corey, can you speak to us about parenting? Obviously, this is a pain point for many of us. One of the things that I have observed is when I speak to many parents, they have more questions concerning their children, and I hear very little introspection. They seem to feel like these children are the problem because they're trying to parent and it's just not working the way they had expected. So I have a question for us. Is the issue the children, or could it be more of a collective issue? Because there's so many factors that go into the parenting journey, and I want us to look at some of those. Now, if you don't know me and you're stumbling into this video for the first time, I am Coach Corey. I am a self-mastery coach. I am a proud mom of two beautiful girls that are aged in 2026, 33 and 26. And so I've been around the block for a little bit and I have an idea of what parenting is. I've made my own mistakes, and so I'm not speaking from a place of self-righteousness. I own my own story, and I am also a DISC certified coach and a certified counselor. And so what I'm going to be sharing with you is some of my own experiences, but also I want us to be more intentional, because what I have found is parenting for many of us, myself included, was more of a knee-jerk reaction. Kind of we're rolling with the punches. And so stuff happens and you really don't know what to do. You don't know how to handle yourself or the child. And so the first thing I want us to understand is parenting is not a one-size-fits-all. What may have worked in your family, even in a specific child, may not necessarily work with another family or with another child. Children are different. Children are wired differently. Your family culture will also vary based on family of origin. I remember when our daughter turned 1 and we wanted to have a birthday party. Now, for me, I come from a family where we did not celebrate birthdays. So I did not understand why a 1-year-old needs a big old-fashioned birthday party. My husband, on the other hand, comes from a family where they were totally celebrated and birthdays were a really big deal. So guess what? He wanted all the bells and whistles, and we had a little bit of a tug of war because my family of origin had a very different culture from his family of origin. Those are things that are going to impact your parenting journey, your marriage, your communication, the way you do so many things within the family, and even the culture that you create in your family. Another thing that I have found, parenting must be done from a place of being very intentional. Please, I have to repeat this. Parenting must be done from a place of being very intentional. I remember when our children were younger and we moved back to Kenya, and in Kenya there's this system where there's a transport for children to, where they're picked up and they're dropped. And in the beginning, we tried to use that system because it was convenient. And then we met some friends of ours who really had curated their daily calendar based on their children's school schedule. And it was very challenging because I thought to myself, we don't have that many years with these children. And fortunately, because we are business people, we had the luxury of being able to switch a few things around. And so guess what we did? We literally took our children to school every single day. And we also dropped them. Once we understood this, in the beginning that wasn't the case, but later on we picked it up. And guess what? Those were some of the best memories. I remember my younger child, she used to sing because our car radio wasn't working very well. And so she used to sing along the whole way. And sometimes she would drive us nuts. Yeah. Today, as a mom of adults, I look back with those memories so fondly, and we even talk about them. And so I want you to understand, you have to be the parent. We cannot delegate parenting. We cannot delegate moments. We cannot delegate memories. That is our responsibility as parents. And that's where our children bond with us, connect with us. And that's where we build trust. That's where we begin to create a system where the children can come to you and even share some secrets. If you don't do it when they are younger, why should they come to you when they are older? Parenting requires adaptation. You cannot parent the way our parents parented. And if you have children in different generations, like me, I have what are they called? Before Gen Z, millennial. I have a millennial child, and then I have a Gen Z. Do you honestly think you can parent a millennial child the way you parented a Gen Z in this day and age? My friend, if you want problems, try that. In fact, if you're struggling with parenting, are you in touch with what your generation is doing, the generation of your child? Are you in touch with where they are psychologically, emotionally? You're parenting a human being, not a machine. And so you have to adapt strategy, okay? You have to understand what's going on in the culture. That does not mean you have to bend to the culture. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, when you're ignorant of what's going on in the environment, in the culture of your child, then you're setting yourself and that child up for failure. Facts. Because what worked for that generation, the older generation, what worked for us will not necessarily work for the next generation. Just like we are no longer using those phones we used to have in the house. We have mobile phones. Can you imagine insisting that you will not use a mobile phone because you're stuck in the era of where we used to use the phones in the house? Okay, you're stuck in, you have to write a letter to somebody instead of sending an email. Okay, what will happen? You will find yourself becoming very irrelevant. And what happens when we approach parenting from that perspective, we end up isolating our children. I'll say that again. When we choose to parent from old strategies, I'm not talking about value systems. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about old strategies that have been overtaken by time. Then we choose to isolate our children. And this is how you begin to get rebellion in our children. So it's very key and very important that we stay connected to what's going on in the culture of our children, so that we are relevant to them, so that we are that moral voice that can speak to them and they listen. Because we also want to have a relationship with them, not just now. How many times have we seen that when children grow older, especially when they are much older, they disconnect from their parents? And you made so many sacrifices and you get angry because you feel like you made all these sacrifices for them and you're not connected. They've disconnected themselves from you, because children are looking for more than your provision, your money. They need a different connection, an emotional connection, which is not going to be there if you're stuck in a different time and space. Number 3, it is critical. You must take time to understand the person that you are if you are to be an effective parent and a destiny helper to your children. Can I tell you for free? I'm a coach and I speak to adults, and this is proven. Over 90% of the trauma that we deal with comes from our parents. And so let me ask you a question. Are you parenting or are you traumatizing your children in the name of parenting? Again, you're stuck in a time and space that is coming across, and your communication is coming across as trauma to your children. I cannot begin to tell you how serious this problem is. You have parents who are traumatizing your children. Think about your own parents. Think about things they did to you. Think about why you don't even do some of the things you should do. Could it be that your parents also traumatized you, your teachers, your aunties? So there's an exercise in forgiveness that I teach. And that is the single hardest exercise, because I have found so many of us as parents are carrying wounds from our childhood. And so when we are asked to forgive, right now we are operating on autopilot. So we don't realize that we are carrying those wounds, right? So until we stop to do a check, the way you check your car, you take your car for service. Now you come and do a check on yourself. You will be shocked that the person you think you are, the person that is being experienced by your children, is a very different person, because the way your children are receiving you, they are receiving you from the place of your traumas. Did you know that children are the low-hanging fruit? And so anytime we are upset and we can't hit back at our bosses, we can't hit back at even our relatives, guess who we hit back at? Our children. We get irritated with them. We criticize them. We speak certain things to them. And so if you don't understand who you are at your core, if you have not done your inner work, I'm here to tell you, there is a very good chance that you're passing down your traumas to your children. And so there is such a thing as generational trauma. Many of us, men and women, without realizing, have passed down. You're arguing in front of your children. You have a disagreement with your spouse or your partner. Guess what? You argue in front of your children, you're passing down the trauma. Do you know what that thing is communicating to your children? When children see parents arguing, they instantly get insecure. And a home is supposed to be a place of security. And when a home stops being a place of security, guess what happens? The children absorb that energy. The children absorb that tension and they carry it with them. And so sometimes you have children that appear to be misbehaving, but in essence, they are carrying what you have given them. I know that can be a little hard to hear, but I will not be helping you if I don't speak the truth to you. Remember when I became a parent, actually even before I became a parent, I used to say, I won't do this. My mother did this. I won't do this. Being a woman, of course, I was relating to the motherhood experience. And there's so many things I vowed I would not do because I felt they were not right. And some things were good not to do, but some things I realized later, again as an adult, were trauma decisions. And any decision made from a place of trauma tends to be excessive. It lacks balance. And so when it lacks balance, you end up with a situation where you are also imbalancing the children. We all want better for our children. We want to give our children what we didn't have. An example is, growing up, we used to be made to sleep 2, 3 sometimes in a bed. Maybe a relative has come, you lose your bed, and you have to sleep with your siblings. And you vow to yourself that you'll never do this to your children. And you're really coming from a good place. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. One of the things I have observed is we tend to overgive our children. And so what happens when they become adults? They only know their space, their bedroom. And now you find yourself in a situation where you need them to accommodate others. They don't have the capacity to accommodate others. And here's the reality. Life does life. That's a reality. You can be the one that needs the help of your children, but you raised them in a manner that they didn't experience that sacrifice for themselves. What I'm trying to say is they did not learn how to sacrifice. They lived in comfort, especially for those of us in the US. Many of us, not all, but many of us have raised our children to experience comfort. And not just the US, don't get me wrong. It's all over the world. And when we do that, what happens when they go out in the real world and the real world is not comfortable? And they have to make certain decisions so that they can thrive. Many of them crash. Many of them end up with mental disorders because it's so unfamiliar. Those spaces become so unfamiliar. So can we find a balance so that we are not making decisions from a place of trauma? This is why it becomes very important to understand yourself. I remember I used to make sure my children wore such good clothes because I grew up not having good clothes. I was raised by a single mother and she really struggled. And so I was one of those kids who was consistently laughed at because my fashion just wasn't fashioning, if there's a word like that. But when I became a mother, I did not want my children to be laughed at. Now, do you see? I was making a decision from a place of my trauma. Now, I'm not saying that our children need to go with rags. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what if I had done my healing work? Because for me, what I did is I took care of everybody else and I neglected myself. Because I thought that's what good parenting was all about. You sacrifice. That's what I saw. My mother sacrificed, and so I sacrificed. And my situation in some cases required that sacrifice. Are we raising children who will be just fashionistas? Because it is also very possible that you end up raising children who are wearing the latest and the greatest and don't learn how to invest. That their value system moves to the wrong thing. So it is very important. I'm just giving examples. I'm not saying that that's what we do, but you might catch yourself in the things that I am saying. And I'm sharing some of my own experiences to help you. If I was to reparent again, are there things I would change? Oh my goodness, you don't even know. Probably 10, 20 things I would change. Now, did I get the whole parenting thing wrong? No. There's a lot of great things that I did. But looking back, there's also some things that I could have done better. And I'm sure that's for all of us. But if you have young children, this is more critical for you because you have time. Especially if you have children that are not yet teens. Oh my goodness. Please listen, lean in and get as much as you can. Because there is so much to learn. Because once they're grown, they're grown. That's it. There's no turning back. You cannot rewind that clock. One of the other things that you must, oh my goodness, parents, you must understand is the power of your words. It was not unusual in my generation to be told how stupid you are, how foolish you are, how you will never amount to anything. When your parents got angry or frustrated, they unleashed words that were not beneficial. Parents, I want you to understand something. You are the first spiritual authority over that child. And so when you speak, your words are powerful. You are literally planting seeds in the garden of their destiny. And so it is therefore no wonder that you can have a very bright kid and they seem to do well in school, but when they grow up, nothing else seems to work. Could it be we spoke words in anger or frustration? Could it be we have projected our frustrations to our children? Can we go back and evaluate the words we have spoken? Can we ask God to have mercy on us and to forgive us, and we reverse those curses? Because those are curses. There's only two things as parents we speak. We speak blessings or we speak curses. Now, granted, we speak instruction, yes, and all those other things, but there are certain decrees we make. Read your Bible. Someone like Jacob spoke about his sons, and whatever he spoke is what they became. Can we be careful? Can we measure our words? Can we speak with wisdom? Are you your own child's destiny helper or destiny killer? Because many of us, I'm sorry to say, are leaning on the toxic side of parenting, and we think the children are the problem. You see, I find when I'm coaching, more often than not, we see the children as the problem, while we are not looking on the inside. You are given a clean slate. That child came to you. A lot of what they have, you have put in. Environment, culture has put in, poured into that child. Who are you allowing to pour into your children? I remember we had a situation with one of my children back home in Kenya. She was going to school there. And I had taught my children that never allow anybody to speak negatively to you. Do not receive those words. And we had a situation with my younger daughter. A teacher told her, I don't remember what the situation was or what had happened. And the teacher told her that she was stupid and she would not amount to anything. Do you know what my daughter told the teacher? I cancel that in Jesus' name. And she came home and she told me and the father. She said, today, mommy and daddy, this is what happened. And we waited for that phone call. It never came because we were ready to confront that teacher. How dare you tell my child that they are stupid? We are here at home, busy pouring in. And then you're trying to cancel. Now, can I also teach you something, parents? We had a culture in my family. Every time we took our children to school, we had a prayer we said, and this is something we learned as we were going deeper in our own spiritual journey. And it was a standard prayer because we learned the importance of words. We repented and we reversed those words that we had spoken in frustration. And then we learned to speak every single day. May the Lord shine his face upon you. May he grant you wisdom, knowledge, understanding. May you be the light of Christ even as you go to school. May your light shine ever so brightly in everything that you do. And then we would also say something along the lines, no weapon fashioned against you shall prosper. We cancel every word that rises up in judgment against you. You are the head, you are not the tail. You are above, you are not beneath. And we agree all this in Jesus' name. And the child would say, amen. We did this every single day. The children loved it. Did it save us many tears? Yes. Did we still have challenges? Yes. But we understood one thing, that there are battles those words fought for us that we could never have fought on our own. I can tell you stories of how the enemy tried to program things in the realm of the spirit. We had a child who had a pattern that every time she was going from one level to another, she would be involved in an accident. And we had to deal with that. Parents, there is so much evil in our world. We cannot afford to be fighting with our children. One of the things we had to sit down our children and tell them is that we are on the same side. Do your children know you are on the same side? Or do they feel like it's us against them? Isn't that what the devil would want? He comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But Jesus came to give us life and life in abundance. How does that manifest in your family? in your parenting journey? How are you going to be able to do these things when you have not confronted the demons that you deal with on a daily basis, that anger that you carry? Those things that you were told as a child and now you're telling them to your own children. Parents, we have to do better. The days are evil. As I wrap up this video, I want you to understand one final thing. As a parent, you have to understand that there is stages to parenting. There is no way you can parent this child the same strategy, the same method from infancy to adulthood. And you must recognize when seasons are changing. So let's discuss that in the next video so that you can be better equipped to be a better parent and enjoy this parenting journey. If this has been beneficial to you, please leave me a comment. Let me know what resonated with you the most. If you have received value, kindly subscribe to my channel. Feel free to share and to like, as this will help me build this channel and have this information get out to more people, and we can save more parents, more families, and more children. Until next time, this is Coach Corey. Goodbye.